Alright, in today's Flambient interior real estate photography tutorial, we are going to be testing out this setup right here. You can see me standing here with the Godox 8600 with that Godox ML-CD15 modifier. On top of that, with a tri-fold shoot-through umbrella. Now the reason why I don't just do the cover on this is because when I collapse this umbrella down, it's a lot easier to get it to fold all the way down without the dome that comes with the 8600. Now a better option probably would be to use like the Godox 8200. And yes, the ML-CD15 modifier will work on that 8200. I have a tutorial on how to connect it to your 8600. You have to super glue one of the adapters that is for either the 300 or the 400, I believe. But we're just trying this out. And the reason why is because I'm trying to eliminate as many shadows as possible. So this is my other setup. We're running with the Pixel Pro TW283. And I'm also going to have links to all this stuff because I get a lot of questions on what trigger, what wireless trigger I'm using. Some people are questioning like the range of these things and all that. So this one has been phenomenal. I've had it for 3 years now, going on 3 years now, and it works around corners, through walls. You know, you can go pretty much as far as you need to go and it's still going to activate the shutter, which is awesome. And then I have the Godox XT trigger on top of that, hot shoe on top of that. That way I can just put that there. This doesn't need a hot shoe. It could just be dangling if your flash trigger does not have a hot shoe on top. But I like it because it does allow it for me to stack these just like that. One other thing too is that I modified is I'm using one of these like older cell phone clips where I super glue the clip onto the trigger itself for the wireless shutter release, and then this has a belt clip on it and you can just clip it onto your belt. You can see that in this image right here. Let me see if I can zoom in more. I just have it clipped right there so I can just boom hit that trigger button. Alright, so now that you know my setup, let's get to the actual shoot. So this isn't real pretty, but the reason why I'm choosing to show this is because I want to give you guys the complex situations, you know. Just a simple room with nice natural light. Those are easy. Usually it's an ambient, you know, shot and then a flash pop above the camera and you're done. But stuff like this where we have a separate room here, really bright walls, really the floor is blown out with the ambient layer. Yes, this can be controlled by using a circular polarizer filter, which I did not have. I have to get a new one. Mine vignettes super bad, so I have to get a better one. You know, Polar Pro, they're a good company. Just look at it. You know, if you're spending 85 to 100 bucks, you're gonna be spending that much for a good circular polarizer. Otherwise, they will have issues. They'll have, they'll just vignette really bad, or the quality won't be that good. So. And also make sure if you're going to go with a circular polarizer that you get the same diameter as your lens. Don't use step-up rings if you have a bigger one, you know, because that defeats the whole purpose. You can do that with a ND filter because it's the same throughout the filter. So step-up rings are great for ND filters, but it has to do with when you rotate that where the glare is focused on that circular polarizer. Okay, so here's our ambient layer. Super simple. Nothing fancy. We are doing lights off method, and I believe this is good. I don't need to light the staircase here. Really what we're doing is just getting an overall image. I always shoot an ambient layer because then you know where your natural shadows are coming from. So then I take that shoot through umbrella with that ML-CD15 and just blast it into the room. I believe I was like 1/8 or 1/4 power on that 8600. And so the next step, I'm just showing here how we're going to do the left and right composites with this. And I think I shot it onto this side. And these have already been adjusted, you know. And so the other thing that I want to take note of is if you notice this glare isn't being fixed. It is with this shot though. And this is like an afterthought. So if you have harsh glare that's not really... you not being able to control it with just that flash like this, for example, go stand next to that. Either maybe bounce it up off the ceiling, but make sure you're not standing in the flash or in the glare. My foot is just slightly out of it, so I'm going to be able to use this to fix this floor, and I'll show you how in a little bit, along with this shot. with it, which is the right flash pop. And then, okay, I already showed that. And then I went into this room and just put the flash power to it, basically just to get me a nice clean window pull here, and light it up a little bit. So let's bring all these 2 stars into Photoshop, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. Okay, we got all the layers loaded in now. Ambient layers sitting on top. What I like to do is just start shutting these off, and I like to deal with the right and left first just to get these blended. Super simple way to do that is highlight the first one, come down here to layer mask, and then Command I to invert it. I know there's another faster way to do that. I forget it already, and people pick on me all the time for not doing the faster way, but that is my method. I've been using it for 5 years now. Okay, so how to blend myself out of here. We have a black layer mask. We're going to make sure white is selected. Gradient tool, click anywhere in front of yourself, and then just drag it over before you get to where you were standing on the other side. And that's it. You can redo that several times. See how it's kind of, the two are kind of blending together. That's what we want to do, is try to make sure it's a seamless blend. And again, we can fix any of this issue. Now, I want to paint back in where I was standing, so let's take black with the brush tool. Let's see if that's the right one. It should be, no, maybe it was white. And start painting in. Okay, so there was my foot. We're going to use this floor. I'm going to bring it all the way out to here. And then we'll just fix. I'm just going over where my foot is just so I can get as far over as I can. And again, my flow is only at 5%. That's why I'm just too lazy to change that right now, because I'd love to leave it at 5%. And that should be about right. So now I will take and flip it back to black and paint out. And of course I can just bring the flow up a little bit just to make this go quicker. Okay, flip it back to white, and now we can bring up the kitchen shot. And now here's a trick I like to do, is just turn that layer to lighten mode. So if you toggle that on and off, all right, so here's my issue, one of my only issues with using lighten mode. If we toggle that on and off, it's just pretty much brightening up that. And because the scene was already pretty bright, and so was this scene. So what we can do, because if we try to paint back in the windows, we're basically losing that window view. Notice it didn't really do anything. So what we can do is, as you're hovered over this layer mask, Command J to duplicate it, turn this to normal mode, and then create a layer mask, Command I to invert that. And now we can zoom in. I'm Command plus on my keyboard to do so. And let's bring that flow back down to 5%. And we got white selected, so now we can paint back in that window from the other layer below it. That's why we leave it on normal. We can lower the opacity of that lighten mode layer. Say if we have it all the way up, bring it back down, kind of balance it out. And now let's zoom back out, Command minus. Of course, I always have to realign. What's next? Now we can turn on the flash pop above the camera, which is actually just shooting it into the room. We can turn that to lighten mode. What did that do? And again, it hurt our window view out there. So let's do layer mask, make sure black is selected, and then just paint that window view back in. Not too bad. All right, and now we can drop that opacity. And we toggle that on and off. That brightened it up. And again, now comes in our ambient layer. Let's try luminosity mode. And we're gonna have to do a layer mask, Command I to invert that. And now we can paint back in where we need ambient. So right bracket on my keyboard is making my brush bigger. We definitely need ambient to get rid of the shadow on the stairwell and brighten the stairwell up. And that's where we can brighten that window up a little bit. We can fix our ceiling where the hot spot was from the flash. We want to stay away from that floor. So this mare, you know, wasn't the prettiest of situations, but I'm just showing you what works and what doesn't and how to fix things. So there we go. That glare is still pretty hideous, but that's a cheap hardwood floor that just has tons of glare. Circular polarizer would have definitely helped in this situation. 9 times out of 10, just a flash pop above the camera or near the glare will fix that. But I hope this video has helped you. Leave me a comment below what your specific go-to modifier is for your flash if you're a Flambient shooter, and leave me a question. I respond to every comment. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.